Breaking news, the GPT Store from OpenAI is open for business. They just released a blog post in the middle of the night, so you may have missed it, announcing the new GPT Store. I'm going to quickly take you through everything. I haven't even put my thumb on the scale to see if my GPT that I put in the store is in there. We're going to go through everything in real time and keep it absolutely real. So just going through their blog posts, you can see that every single week they're going to feature different GPTs at the top of the charts. And of course, they're going to have some trending elements. Now, what's interesting is their recommendations, which is All Trails, Consensus, Code Tutors, Canva, Books, and the Flexi AI Tutor. Most of these are trash. I'll tell you right out the gate that using ChatGPT to find places to go jogging or trail to go jogging is the worst possible use case. In fact, the fact that that's at the top of the chart tells you the problem with this tool is that the people building it don't really know what a good use case is. Now, the ability to search through academic papers, that's a direct response to the good things that Perplexity AI is doing, which has a better research tool. So they're trying to create a better research possibility here because right now ChatGPT is not a great place to do research because it will lie to you. So it's very interesting they're seeing here. Adding in Code Tutor is really how many people is that useful for, right? That want to do coding and want to learn coding from ChatGPT. There's so many better use cases, there's so many better plugins, there's so many better tools out there that it tells me right out the gate. And Canva, design your best presentation. I've used the Canva plugin in the past and it was not good. I'm a Canva power user, I'm a ChatGPT power user, and the integration was honestly not worth your time. So it would be interesting to see if now their GPT is better. It seems like what they're doing is just favoring large brands. Find your next read with books. I mean, come on. If your biggest use case of ChatGPT is to go and say, hey, what book should I read next? You're wasting your time, right? It's such a bad use of the tool. So they are talking about how you can include in the store. And it sounds like it says that you can start generating revenue based on usage. So you'll be based on engagement with your GPTs and you get details for criteria as we get closer. What that means is right now, hey, your GPTs are free, but we might pay you in the future. This is exactly what I warned about last week, which is that be careful putting your GPTs in the store. This is a very dangerous move to make on your part. Sure, if you're a really big company and you don't care about revenue, you just care about brand awareness, you can put your GPT in the store, you can get some attention, and you don't care if you make any money because people are just used to your GPT get added to their dashboard. But getting paid based on usage, that means what's going to be interesting is that useful GPTs are going to rise to the top. And I have a feeling that those trending GPTs are going to crash and burn because I don't think a lot of people are using the Canva plugin. So I think that's exactly why they have these two categories. The featured is where they can put their thumb on the scale. Something tells me the featured is going to become a paid section. And then the trending, we've all seen this if you look at podcasts on Apple iTunes, right? They only show you 8 podcasts in each category. And I think there's a total of like 10 categories or something. So you really don't get any value from it. So I don't think the store is going in the right direction yet. Maybe it will become more useful in the future, but let's take an actual look at what it looks like. So if you go to your homepage, what you'll see is this little blue box that now says, now you can discover GPTs created by the community. If you click on that box, here's what it looks like. So you can see the Explore GPTs is still there. So I'm going to close out that box and we're going to take a deep dive together. So you can search all public GPTs. Let's search for mine right now. See if she's listening. She's listening there. 40 people are using her. Hey, that's pretty good, right? So let's take a look at the actual use cases. We can see exactly what they said on the blog post, All Trails, Consensus, Books, Code Tutor. At least 3 of these to me are wasted real estate. It makes me wonder if they have some type of partnership. Listen, Khan Academy is great. My kids use it. It's how they do learning on the iPad. I think it's a very cool thing, but I think it's not that useful. And that's why Consensus, the one that might be useful, the direct competitor for Perplexity. So this is interesting. This is them going after a specific competitor that I'm a big fan of. So of course it's ranking number 1. Ask Your PDF is number 1. You can see that some interesting brands are popping to the top of the charts, but also is Grimoire. It's an interesting one, right? So the best thing is that the ones made by ChatGPT are the worst. Just absolutely. I can tell you Coloring Book Hero, it's not good. I tested it. It's not useful. It doesn't make good coloring book images. They're playing around with Dolly. Now, this I think is important because the problem with Dolly, and if you're on LinkedIn, you know what I'm talking about. Every single person is making images of Dolly. They all look the same and they all look like trash. They are cluttering up my feed. Please take the time to make better images. So we are going to play around with it. Super Describe. Very interesting. This is competing with Midjourney's Describe feature where you can upload an image and it will generate a prompt for you. I will be testing a whole bunch of these. I'm also interested to see how the transition I'm also interested to see how the transition from plugins to GPTs goes because in the past, one of the problems I was having with GPT is like, oh, I want my GPT to have access to VoxScript, which is the plugin that lets it watch YouTube videos. So some interesting things are going to be happening. Let's look at what we have for writing. I want to see if I recognize what it is interesting. We're seeing random people like I buy prompts. Muhammad Talha has two up here. This is Rank Math. That makes sense. Rank Math is a tool that I use. We see Canva right here. Of course, this Web Pilot is actually a really good plugin. Now it's a GPT. I think it's a little confusing the difference between GPTs and plugins. I don't fully understand it yet because I don't know why they're making both and what the difference is going to be. They haven't really delineated. I've built GPTs, but I haven't built plugins. I do have access to both. So right now it's kind of wide open. And let's just click on one. Let's click on Tattoo GPT just to see what it looks like when you click on one. ChatGPT designs your tattoo, assists you in refining tattoo ideas, suggests designs, generates visual previews designs, offers customization options, recommends tattoo artists or studios, and provides aftercare advice. It's just a keyword list. So if you want to rank, that's a way to do it. Um, right out the gate, these are not very good prompts, right? Design my tattoo. You're going to get anything, right? Anything is possible because we haven't talked about a genre. We haven't talked about a body part. A back tattoo is going to look different than a leg tattoo, than a face tattoo. So right now, it's kind of the Wild West. You can see we have these different categories. Let's see what it looks like if I search for mine and click on it. Does it just activate it? Yeah, they've made the exact same mistake with this store as they've done with the plugin store, which is they give you so little information. I can search for mine, but I can't see a description of it. They don't give you a lot of information, and that's really very disappointing, to be honest with you, is that I can click on all trails and it just activates the GPT instead of letting me see what it does. And gosh, if this is what you're using ChatGPT or for, you're watching the wrong channel. Okay, because ChatGPT is such a powerful tool for your business. There are a million apps that can help you find a trail near you that are in your phone that actually have a GPS connection that makes a lot more sense to use than asking ChatGPT a Google question. So overall, there's a couple of caveats I have right now. There's no rules, right? You can make a GPT that does anything. There's no way to rank and say this is a good or a bad GPT other than usage. There's no way to write good descriptions. That's why all these descriptions are keyword stuffs, right? The PDF GPT, top PDF GPT can handle PDF documents up to 2 gig per file, allow thousands of PDF updates, right? So they're keyword stuffing. What they've done here, it's very similar to the internet in the early 2000s when there was no way to rank other than just masses of keywords. So we're going to get a lot of plugin names. You go, I don't know what this plugin does. It's called SciSpace. And you have to click on it to find out what it does, and it adds it to your sidebar. Very poor implementation, unfortunately. This is interesting. As a creator, I think you should not put your GPTs in here unless you do not care about revenue. The fact that we're going to pay you in the future. How much? I don't know. Very, very suspicious. And there's not a lot of money inside of ChatGPT. Let's think about it. So I'm a power user. I pay $20 a month. If I use your GPT 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you get all of my revenue, they'll give you $20, right? There's no way that's going to happen. So if you start thinking about fractions and how many minutes there are in a day and how many minutes of use you're going to get, and do they charge you per minute that's on the screen or per minutes that is actually generating a prompt? I mean, in a magical world, you make a couple of pennies per person using. So even if you have a million people using your bot, you're going to make like $1,000 a month. So I don't think this is the path to monetization if you're thinking of prompt engineering as your future and creating GPTs. It's very, very hard to get discovered. Like, let's just look at writing. I have to click see more to see another, and it only shows a maximum of 12. So unless you're in the top 12, now these are people that put their things in early because they're trying to monetize in a different way. It's okay. I have one in here. Cynthia's in here. So there are some interesting things that are going to happen. I think the store is going to go through a lot of evolutions before it becomes really useful. I think that searching will eventually become useful. They have made it better than plugins. Plugins were just alphabetical. At least here they've added a couple of categories. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 categories. It's not nearly enough. They're going to have to add subcategories. They're still figuring it out. I think that this will become a useful tool in the future, but for right now, it's interesting, but not much more than that. Almost all of the GPTs that they recommend, I wouldn't use. Just not useful. it doesn't have any intelligence to how they're ranking for usefulness because ChatGPT doesn't care about usefulness, it cares about use, which is very different. So I'm going to continue to deliver my GPTs directly to consumer in the same way. I'll have the one free one in there to see if it makes a difference. But honestly, so far, not super impressed by what I'm seeing, not really impressed with what they built so far, but it's day one, right? Of course, don't have a fully functioning store out the gate. I was wondering, are you going to be able to sell GPTs? Now I know the answer is no. This payment structure sounds like it's going to be very similar to what the Kindle Unlimited program does on Amazon. When they first launched that program, if you read 10% of my book, I would get $1.35 every single person. It was great. The problem with that is that people figured that out and they put out 10-page books. So if you flip to page 2 and realize the book stank, the person had already made their payment. So people were rigging the system and it was punishing longer books. If I had a 10-page book, I needed you to read one page. If I had an 800-page book, I needed you to read 80 pages to get the same payment. So they changed to the usage model and it's very low. So you get paid a fraction of a penny for every page read. It's between point 0.4 of a penny. It's between 40% and 50% of a penny. It's never actually 50. So right now it's like 40% of a penny. So you have to read 2.5 pages for me to earn 1 penny. And it means you have to have massive volume. It really rewards volume rather than quality. So if you have a niche book that's amazing, you're not going to make any money from it. You need to be really broad, right? That's why romance novels make the most money there. So I'm not sure how useful the usage model will be. That really means what they're going to reward is, I'm just worried, bad GPTs. They're going to reward GPTs that are interesting to the masses of people, but don't actually help them. And that has me a little bit worried about the way they're building this out so that it kind of makes ChatGPT less useful rather than more useful because they're going to reward plugins that have the widest number of people using them, even though they're doing the least. Like, we can look at one. Let me see if I can find the Canva one on here. I know I saw it. Yeah. So if we click on the Canva GPT, it's going to say 3 things. So let's click on its first one and see what its recommendation is. To me, this is trash. I don't know what else to say. I'm a Canva paid user. I'm a ChatGPT paid user. And this prompt gave me nothing. I said, design me an inspirational quote graphic, and it didn't. It then said, give me the quote and give me the vibe. So their preset prompt already tells you that they probably had a VA design it, right? They're not using a power user. They're not bringing a high level prompt engineer. They don't care about user experience. When I clicked the first one, I should have gotten an image. So that's a poorly designed prompt right out the gate. Let's do another one. Yeah, I already have all trails open. Watch this. I'll click which trails to me are the jog friendly. Watch what's going to happen. It's going to give me something that's not useful. See? I have to tell you where I am and where I'd like to explore. Your phone doesn't do this because your phone has the GPS activated. So this, again, it's giving me more work. This is a problem with the GPTs, and this is a problem with what they're rewarding. If they don't change their reward structure for usefulness, I think that this could actually really damage the perception of ChatGPT because this is a toy instead of a business tool, right? Oh, where should I go hiking with my dog? Well, where do you live? It's a bad user experience. It's a bad UX experience. So, not the same thing. I have to go through and redesign these questions myself because I thought that I could click this and then someone would finish the actual prompt, but you can't. So I'm going to redesign Cynthia Diamond to make her better because now I can see how it's appearing to the public. I'm going to make some changes to improve this. So I'm just as guilty of this. But that's because this is a test prompt. So I know exactly what's happening. I thought I could say, please help me write an email about, and then you would fill it in. And then that would be a really good prompt. But now I know I can't give you fill in the blank. If I click this, it just activates it. So that's what's happening there. So I encourage you to play around with the store. The link is below to go check it out. You can click the link below as well to get instant access to Cynthia and use it and see how useful you find her. I'm going to keep improving her. The more people that use her, the more I'm going to keep improving. Some things that are interesting, if I go back to explore, let me see if I can see my GPTs. Yeah, so now I have to click on my GPTs over here to see the dashboard of where the ones I've created are. What's interesting is I can see how many people are using them. So like Dr. Outline has over 90 users. That's up from 60 the other day. So that's a really popular one I created. And you can see Cynthia has over 40. And the rest of these are not public. So they're all in testing mode, but it lets you see, oh, how many people are testing it and how many people are using it and what's happening out there. So you do see that data. Docker Outline is obviously my one that's doing the best. And that's something I created for a client. So you can see some interesting information here. I do think the future is going to be bright, but overall, I just think that we're not there yet. This is a first iteration. It's very dangerous to say we're going to pay you someday. We don't know what the payment structure is going to be. We don't know how much we're going to pay you. We don't know what the measurement or metrics are going to be. That doesn't appeal to me. So for my business, I'm still going to use ChatGPTs, but I'm going to sell them directly. But let me know what you guys think right below. Are you excited that GPTs are out? Are you going to use GPT? Have you tried out Cynthia? Let me know. I'll keep improving the prompt as long as you guys keep using it. I'm really excited for the future of GPTs. I just think we're not quite there yet. And I hopefully they make a slight turn in a better direction and focus on usefulness rather than broadness of appeal to make it a better and more effective tool. Otherwise, I think there's a good possibility that one of the other brands like Claude, Perplexity, or even one of the Google brands starts to take over their market share. We're going to see what happens. I think 2024 is going to be a very interesting year. See you guys in the comments.